Hello, Flosstube.
Greetings.
I'm Laura.
I'm Joe.
Welcome to the Slovak Farm.
This is the farm where we grow cross stitch.
One stitch at a time. Today's Monday, November 14th of 2022. My arm's itching, that's why I was making faces. How has y'all's week been? Ours has been dramatic.
No, this is how my week has been.
Yes. Your wrist started hurting. Carpal tunnel probably flared up a little because you haven't consistently stitched in a while, so it probably wasn't pleased.
I stitched my wrist into oblivion. I just found it irritating, so I was like, yeah, I got my bug back, and my wrist is like, yeah, about that.
But it's getting better, so...
Yeah,
it just wasn't used to... You hadn't consistently stitched in a while, so the muscle memory was sore.
Well, it has to do with something with the fact that Squirrels' Q-snap is heavy.
Squirrels' Q-snap is heavy. Something that was back here is not here anymore. I have to find that. Okay. So we hope you all had a wonderful week.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good week.
It
was a calm week. It was a calm week. We went to dinner Saturday with Mom and Dad. Across the street, the church, the men's group had one of the men's group. Because apparently there's two men's group in our church. I'm not really sure about that. I don't understand that situation. I don't ask questions. We have Knights of Columbus, which most churches have Knights of Columbus chapter. That's kind of like the men's group. But then we also have a group called Holy Cross, which it might go back to the whole, up until about 15, 16 years ago, our church was two separate churches in this town. Anyways, but Holy Cross had a kielbasa dinner. Apparently one of the ladies at the Ladies Guild that was at the dinner, who didn't think it was the greatest dinner they ever put on, let them know. Bonnie, the lady I introduced you to. Yeah, she let them know she wasn't really. It wasn't bad, but I will agree it wasn't. They've done 2 or 3. The first drive-through they did when we were here, we were not in town. We were in... There was something going on the weekend of the first drive-through that they had the kielbasa dinner after we moved here. But then we did a couple of them, and it wasn't that bad. It was good. I don't know. Saturday nights was a little, off. The kielbasa was different. I noticed the kielbasa was different. Mother complained that her sauerkraut was kind of cold.
So were the mashed potatoes.
The mashed potatoes weren't that great.
No, the mashed potatoes were cold.
Well, I chalked my mashed potatoes being cold up to, that was like the last thing off my plate I ate.
No, it was the first thing I ate and it was cold.
Okay, well the mashed potatoes were cold. The sauerkraut was cold.
And the kielbasa was underportioned for the amount of money that cost. Half the plate was sauerkraut.
And they gave you a lot of sauerkraut, and you didn't have, it wasn't optional to they did the sauerkraut and the kielbasa together. He doesn't like sauerkraut at all. I cannot eat it that much. I can't eat that much of it. I like it, but I have to eat it in small portion. So, most of the sauerkraut both of us got went to waste, which I thought wasn't good. I didn't like that. But, But overall, it was a decent meal. And we had a good time with Mom and Dad, and we had a good time socializing with folks from the church.
And probably, hold on, pausing.
God bless you.
Sorry, sneezy.
But.
And I think I know what the problem was with the kielbasa. I think either the kielbasi or the sauerkraut was a cheaper version, and they cooked them together.
I think the kielbasi was a more inexpensive version because the kielbasi definitely looked different. I mean,
it looked like a hot dog, not kielbasi.
yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't like the dish, but kielbasi is one of those things that you can't skimp on to me. Cheap kielbasi's never been as good. Like, my first time I had kielbasi was really cheap kielbasi, and I was a kid and I didn't like it. And my grandfather actually sat me down and said, "Try this," and it was really good kielbasi.
I will say I have gotten kielbasi from Aldi's that is not like the Hillshire Farms, and that's been really good. But normally we get Hillshire Farms kielbasi. What is it? It's not Hillshire. Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyways, we have just gone down a bunny hill of crazy. That's what you're here for, right?
Squirrels!
They're crazy.
By the way, once that's done, I think I might actually get it like as a sign, so I can just keep bringing it in the frame.
Okay.
I think I might just stitch one of the squirrels from it really quick. That is not a dumb idea I just had.
Stitch a little squirrel, put it on a stick. Squirrel. Squirrel. That would be.
I gotta do that now.
That would be hilarious.
Because I have a pattern with squirrels on them.
And the whole reason Andrea gave you that was because we squirrel all the time.
And also Dragons of Sumatra was like one of my favorite.
Well, yeah, and she thought that it was great. Okay. Why don't we shout out our commenters?
Anna, Junebug, Jeep Girl Stitches, Bridget, Teresa.
I have no idea what this name is.
Forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it looks like Kopaka.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from. It didn't disappear. I thought it was going to disappear, so it's a legitimate name. I apologize.
PD Stitcher.
That's it. Sometimes I'll get comments that are kind of vague and they disappear, so I know that they're like bots or something like that.
Oh, yeah, there's like bots that'll name the account almost like the other one, and that's a phishing scam. Click on this link or go to this, and then you can get. Click on my name and go to this thing and do this, and you can win a prize.
Ain't about that. Okay. Well, let's move on to whips.
Okay. Pressing button time.
Whips.
I didn't get a lot of stitching in.
Because his wrist was hurting him.
Yesterday was the first day. Like, Tuesday it got really bad. And then it was bad until yesterday.
Yeah.
So I went back to one of my smaller projects because I didn't want to pick up squirrels. Yeah. Heavy.
Smaller Q snap lighter,
Ink circles, elemental dragons, fire! Burn, baby, burn. Should I go over the prompt they did, or nah? Or
go ahead, go over the prompt.
I don't have it open, but
monochromatic.
Yeah, I did. I joined Daily 30, and I really wasn't able to do the Daily 30 this week because
last week
or this week.
Right. But the 7 Wonders, you kind of weren't able to do the Daily 30. And then yesterday you were like, well, I don't think I'll get the Daily 30 this week. So we went into Television Week because this is the one Television Week, which is what we got Friday, is the 100-200 week. I thought it might be good to see how his wrist would handle it.
And just so you know, this is stitched on gunmetal by the Slovak Farm.
And what floss are you using? It's a DMC, isn't it?
DMC, I have no idea. I can go get it.
DMC variegated. You're going to stitch on it some more this week, so we'll get that for next week. I like to share, like, when we do the variegateds, the floss that we use. Like when we do something like that, the floss that we use, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I like that floss. What floss is that? What variegated is that?"
Okay, I mean, I literally, while you're talking, I can go get it.
So
I know where it is.
we'll get it next week.
Okay.
But yes, so he used that to stitch in something that was monochromatic.
And I
So-
literally, my wrist literally was like, okay, 2 hours is your limit. And I'm not stitching
But,
today
you know.
to be safe.
Yes. All right, so let's start with yeah. So Seven Wonders of the World last week. I used this for 2 prompts. I used Little House Needleworks, Jingle All the Way. This was released last year. 2021, yes. So, stitch on something that's related to your other whips. I have several Christmas, several farms, several winters,
Several towns.
Yeah.
I'm looking at one right. I'm looking at
buildings,
a winter town right now.
But that's not a whip. That's a finish.
Um,
And that's not winter.
why is it? Oh, okay. Okay, I thought it looked like snow.
Main Street, they're clouds.
Oh.
So I did that, and then stitch on a whip with building. There's 2 buildings on here. There's a house and a barn. So I did 300 stitches and 345 stitches. So I did 645 total. And this is on a piece of Heirloom by the Slovak Farm. Might be Dirt Road. Might be somewhere in between. There was a little brief time where it kind of was like in between because I was struggling with the dye. This might be one of those pieces. So most of it's in white, you know, the snow and the outline of the barn. But it looks fabulous. Okay. And then I did my Sal prompt on Supernaturals. This is definitely a piece of Dirt Road by the Slovak Farm. And Zombie Man is not quite finished. We did 323 stitches on him. He's not quite done. I've got to put in his name, and there's a little bit more gory blood dripping from him.
How graphic.
Very graphic. There's siren boobies. Friday we get the last Supernatural.
Which actually that actually reminds me of
What?
the llama or lama from Final Fantasy like 2 or 3, where there was a big snafu. Like because in the Japanese version, it was very obvious that it was a topless little 8-bit thing.
Oh.
So they actually colored in the chest area a different color to make it look like she was wearing a t-shirt in the American version.
Well, you know.
But it was 8-bit.
So that's Supernaturals. Still plugging away on it. And then monthly, because my other 3 prompts from the weekly I gotta finish. So we're gonna wait. I need to find the cover. There we go. So I pulled out Winter Solstice. I haven't stitched on this one. Why haven't I stitched on this in so long? I can't even pull something out and go, why is there like 5 stitches on this? Like, why am I not stitching this? I like this project. I want it in my house. Me? Just me? Maybe it's because I have like 30 projects. I actually need to go through and count my projects. But I pulled out Winter Solstice.
Please don't.
For 2 of the monthly prompts. I used it for my T because there's trees on it, and my F because there's a fence on it. That works. You just figured out how to make it fit that one prompt. Okay, so that got me 668 stitches on it. And I must say, my stitch counts are, if you haven't noticed, my stitch counts are like way off of like the 100 mark. I started a new group I joined a new group a few weeks ago, and our stitches are in like blocks of 100 or 200. So I usually end up going over, and then I end up. So that's why they're a little funky. This is Heirloom by Slovak Farm. Do you notice the theme with my neutrals?
You're not a fan of white?
Definitely not. Finished off the snow on the barn. Got these 2 trees done. And then I started the cardinal on the bottom. So I definitely made good progress on this, and I'm happy about that. I am liking stitching on projects for several blocks of stitches because I'm making better progress on them. And I like seeing progress on them. You know, I definitely am starting to plan out next year how I want to do things, but all right. So we'll talk about that later. All right. So then to wrap up the week of stitching, well, anyways, yesterday was my focus day, and it was Raven Queen. Her cover photo is over on the end table. I'm not getting up to get it, so.
There's also the fact that A, she's almost done, and B, you've changed every flipping floss.
She is not almost done. Let me just tell you. But yes, I have changed the flosses. She's enough done that you get an idea.
What the flip is missing?
I still have, okay, so I did 2 prompts on her yesterday. Thank you, darling. 2 monthlies on her yesterday. So B, bird, and A, alterations, because I've completely changed her dress color. So
plus a dress like that's going to require alterations.
Yes, I finished up this pillar here, and I started on the castle background that is here. She has a whole nother side of castle background and pillar here.
Okay, so she's almost done.
She is fairly close to being done. I have a lot of dress left to finish down here. I mean, her dress kind of.
Are you saving that for last?
But I am saving that for last because I want to cherish the dress. There is some step parts because I know there's a part of the steps over here. I just can't safely count down to it. It'll have to come off the dress. So that'll probably be the, the very last bit. But I kind of want to save the dress because I really am enjoying it. And I mean, the pillars and the background does look cool.
It looks awesome.
I'm taking the border off. I just don't feel it's necessary on my piece. It's not that I have anything against it. I just don't feel it's necessary on my project.
More alterations.
More alterations, yes. And she is stitched on even weave. Look, it's either Ada or even weave, and you can tell the difference. So I will probably forget to tell you. It's either Ada or even weave.
Ada. Only.
Well, I usually do Ada or even weave. If it's linen, I'm going to tell you because I do very few projects on linen. I just don't love linen.
No,
but
you just reminded me. Go ahead.
This fabric is called Raven Queen. Okay. I have one more project, and that is the finish. Yes, darling.
I just mentioned the Ada thing because you reminded me that I didn't mention what kind of fabric mine is. But then again, I don't stitch on anything but Ada. I tried even weaving and it broke my ADHD brain.
Yes, to be fair, he only stitches on Ada, and I stitch on either Ada or even weave, and it's really easy to tell the difference between them. I don't really do linen.
I don't have anything against. Like, I'm actually impressed if you stitch on even weave, and really impressed if you stitch on linen. But also be mindful of the fact that some people do Ada because it's a fun hobby and this is easy for them.
Yes.
I can't do even weave.
You stitch on what makes you happy. All the way around.
Yep, and if anybody has any kind of problem with that, keep it to yourself or I'll blast you in the comment section myself.
I have been told that there is a local-ish and by localish, we'll say Northeast Ohio area, needlework group that basically, if you don't stitch on like 40 count linen and up, they do not think you're an acceptable stitcher. I'm like, well, they sound miserable.
My exact thought is that I'm unacceptable in almost everything else, so why do I care what your opinion is?
Not right. So, okay. So, last week I showed you I had put stitches on Lady with Dog or Laura and Bandy for the monthly. I used it for my L. And that had led me to go, why is this not finished yet? I'm going to finish this. So that is exactly what I did. So I ended up with enough stitches to fill out 3 prompts to something that could relate to one of the 3 countries that the 7 wonders of the world were located in. I went with Egypt because greyhounds make me think of ancient Egypt because they were a big prominent in ancient Egypt. A whip that is still standing because I was surprised this was still standing. And then something you would find in your garden. In my garden, you would find a dog. And me. That's how I am. So, all totaled between those 4 prompts, 1,365 stitches. And Lady with Dog is finished. She smells very much like the fabric detergent. I had to bust out the fabric detergent because there was like this huge brown splotch, like right here in the center, from when I had tried to clean off some red popsicle stain. I don't know how it ended up like that, and then there was some popsicle stain along the edges.
Well, we got it clean.
I got it all clean.
It was about as easy as getting the actual dog in the get clean. Because it's arguing the entire way.
Smells like our fabric detergent. You know, I just realized something that y'all don't need to know, but I'll tell you later, honey. But yes, so it is clean. I have yet to decide how I'm going to frame this because she is 9 inches wide by 24 inches tall, so that's going to require a custom frame. I can't afford custom framing, guys. Yes, dear.
If you don't mind having a simple frame, I can make you one because you actually bought me the tools I need in order to do it. I
actually want a very simple frame. I much prefer when I do frame something, it to go in a simple frame because honestly, what I frame are my pretty ladies. And I want those to be the focus.
Would you know what I was thinking about for a frame?
About
this thick, wide black border, so that it looks like it's modern art.
That is very much what I was wanting to do. What I was actually thinking was, before you brought that up, what I was thinking was just mount her on some mat board, take a second piece of mat board with black fabric, and make a frame like that. Much like
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but we'll figure it out.
The only problem is that thanks to the weather, it's probably going to be until spring because I need to use the saw that's in the garage, that one table saw.
Yeah.
Because I need to cut out the grooves for the backing and everything like that.
Okay. Well, it doesn't. Yeah.
And yes, I actually know how to do this kind of stuff. Yeah, I just haven't had a chance.
And I know how to do my lacing, and you buy the cleats to into it after you put it in there to frame it. So we'll work something out, but it will get eventually FFO'd.
Mm-hmm. And I think it'd be really cute if we did it together.
It would be.
And there's one thing I want to do because I'm a dork.
What?
Get one strand of bandage hair and stitch it into that somewhere.
Well, let me tell you, there's plenty of bandy hair stitched into this. There's plenty of semi hair stitched into this. This is another reason I don't ever enter projects into, judging, because there's enough animal hair and Laura hair stitched into them to make a whole second project, probably. right. That's been the stitching for the week. While I do have haul, I'm going to hold it for next week because it's only a couple of things, and I know that later this week I'm getting stuff from Hoffman's that I ordered for my personal self. So we're gonna go into plans and announcements.
Monkey presses button time. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Plans and announcements.
This is gonna be more cooperative because now we're both doing the plans and announcements off the same crazy.
Yes, we are. You've already done your monochromatic. You've shown your monochromatic whip. I've done it. I haven't shown it. I just did it today. But lace corset's my monochromatic offering because it's all one floss. And when I'm stitching, I consider all one floss a monochromatic, even though it's a variegated silks for you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll either accept it or I won't get tokens for it. I mean, you know. Okay. Oh, I didn't tell you we're doing television week. So monochromatic is back to the whole black and white.
It was either monochromatic or black and white.
Black or white. Not gonna lie, I didn't completely read through all the prompts on Friday, so I don't really remember them. So,
Can we read them out? Give you a break?
The first commercial was broadcast in 1941 for watch before a baseball game. Stitch on a whip, you can link to a sport or to a timepiece. I don't think I have anything for that. That's gonna probably be either alternative stitches or free pass.
Okay.
The BBC is 100 years old this year. There you go. Starting off with radio broadcast and making the first TV broadcast in 1936. Stitch on a whip, you can relate to Britain.
And I actually found something.
I was thinking you might.
Wales, which is in Great Britain,
yes,
their flag has a dragon on it. Very prominently.
Yes, it does.
Has a dragon on it. Elemental dragons.
I don't really know.
I was actually thinking of starting towers. And if that doesn't make you think Great Britain, I don't know
Tower
what.
Of London.
I was just thinking British castles to begin with.
Well, this is true. I'm not entirely sure what to use for that because I don't know.
Would you like to know what you have that actually makes me think of Great Britain?
Yes, I would.
Raven Queen.
Really?
She looks like British noble. She looks like a British noble to me.
No. Yeah. I want to put more stitches. Wow.
Also, Edgar Allan Poe is British, wasn't he?
No, he was American. Edgar Allan Poe.
I didn't. I thought he was. I thought he was older than that.
No, Edgar Allan Poe is from the. Okay, he's American.
Okay, yeah. I thought he was British.
He was from the Victorian era, which I did kind of have a thought because Victorian way. Like, when you think of the Victorian era, you think of Queen Victoria because it's named for her. So I probably will yank out Victorian way and do that for it. Let's see. The arrival of VCR, DVR players, and... Let's try this one more time. The arrival of VCRs, DVR players, satellite...
DVD players.
DVD players. Satellite and cable boxes and streaming service gave us the ability to link our TVs and allow TV production companies to reach even bigger audiences. With on-demand services broadcasting over the internet, you can now watch TV anywhere. Stitch on a whip that is a travel whip, or you have stitched on at a virtual hangout. You have stitched on squirrels while on Zoom with me.
but it was leading squares. Also, I don't think I'm going to get more prompts done.
Well,
just because I don't want to blow my wrist out.
yeah. You've stitched on a couple things while on Zoom with me.
Also, these are travel whips.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is definitely something you travel with. You've taken your, yeah.
I mean, literally, to me, the definition of an easy travel whip
It's something that's small.
And monochromatic.
Yes.
Which makes it easy, because I don't have to worry about changing floss colors.
I used lace corset because literally it traveled with me to my Monday stitching group today. Fair enough. And finally, programming made for children has come a long way since the broadcast of the Children's Hour in 1946, with most countries now having dedicated channels to kids' TVs. And many programs are broadcast globally. Stitch on a whip of your choice and tell us about your favorite show as a child.
Is it funny? Mine's actually related.
What?
Dragon, rock the dragon, Dragon Ball Z.
Growing up, the
I am that old, by the way.
baby of the family that only had one TV. Never really got to pick what we watched on TV.
I think your favorite show on TV was Static.
My favorite show was Silence sometimes. No, kidding.
Hockey. Let's be honest. Let's be real.
Everybody asked me how I got into hockey. So this relates to how I got into hockey. Everybody asked me how I got into hockey because we are not a hockey family. We are not even a sports family. Why do I like hockey? Well, about the only time I could get the TV was on a winter Sunday afternoon when there was like nothing on TV, or early spring afternoon, Sunday afternoon, when there was like nothing on TV but a hockey game. They would play, NBC back then. It's a different channel now, but NBC would play like a Sunday week of the game, and it would be on Sunday afternoons. After football season, after the Super Bowl, that's where I started watching hockey. Really.
Just to make myself feel old.
That's where I started watching hockey, and it was the era of the Detroit Russian superpower line. So being close to Detroit, being like 2 hours from Detroit, because Ohio didn't have a hockey team at the time. That's how I got into hockey. Random story. But I didn't really get to pick the TV show. I mean, we watched a lot of Star Trek. I kind of like Star Trek, so we'll go with that for this one. And then we have the Sal and the non-counting challenge prompts.
And just because I'm curious and be a weirdo, does 13 count as when you were a kid?
I mean, yeah.
Because I actually accidentally, this wasn't on purpose, the first time I watched Dragon Ball Z was actually the first episode.
Well, there you go.
And that was on September 13th, 1996. I feel. But yeah.
Okay. So we are quickly approaching the end of the year. Like, it is coming at me like a flippin' freight train. Thanksgiving is next week, y'all. American Thanksgiving is next week, y'all.
Otherwise known as put up with family while shoveling as much calories down your gullet as you can, and then waddle over to somewhere to sit before you pass out.
Yeah, true.
Or as we like to call it, deep fried turkey time.
Deep fried turkey time. Turkey. Okay. Anyways. So we are quickly barreling towards the end of the year, and I realize I need to figure out what I want to do for 2023.
You actually do that?
I do. We've done this before.
I know, but you're to me.
I know. I don't think I'm doing letters of the month next year. y'all know I burnt out on that in September. I flamed out on Whipco this year too. I think I just had way too much.
Suggestion from the loving husband.
What?
Please don't do yearlies. Don't do anything that requires you to follow a plan for an entire year. Life doesn't allow things like that to happen, and you've also been very annoyed on many occasions, especially with letters of the month, because you're like, I want to finish this project, but I need this letter later on in the year. And then you said screw it and did it anyway, and then you get yourself so annoyed trying to find new stuff that by September your brain had smoke coming out of your ears.
Okay then.
Am I wrong?
No. I just realized I need to go through my whips because I think I have some new whips that I need to add. Random. Scroll. I do need to go through my whips. I need to make sure I have everything written down on my list because I do keep a list in here. I'm gonna find the list. I keep a list in here. I tried having it like in a nice page and I did this many stitches on it this month. I have a list. And as it gets done, I write down next to it. As I stitch on it through a rotation, and I've updated this list recently. As I stitch on it, I put a little check mark. This is just so that I can go back to a project that I haven't stitched on in a while. I try to make sure everything has a check mark before I go back to it. Just so I'm touching all of my whips. And then I have a little jot of what my focuses are. I have debated on whether or not I want to do like what I did this year with my focus, which was to pick, I don't know, I don't want to say randomly, but it was kind of random. I went into the year with like a pretty lady, something I really wanted finished, something I really wanted to like put stitches in on a consistent basis. And it was two things I really wanted to put stitches in on a consistent basis. Ended up finishing a couple of things with this plan out. I don't know if I want to do that or if I want to go through my whips, look at my whips and figure out what's closest to being done and put those as my focus. I know that I am doing the daily 30 early next year. Because I already know what it is because I'm an admin. No, I'm not going to tell y'all.
She won't tell me if that makes you feel any better.
I will not.
I just had an image of you rubbing like faux rubbing super glue, like an Elmer's glue bottle across your lips.
My lips.
Are sealed.
Yes. Okay. So I know I want to do that. So I know
You're so cute.
I'm gonna have to declare whips for that. So I kind of got to figure out how I want to do it. I know that I am not doing letters of the month. I'm going to do Whipco a little bit differently this year than I have in the last couple of years. Being that rather than declaring projects, because I kind of flamed out on Whipco too. I could theoretically catch up on Whipco because really it's just a do what you want. And really what burned me out on both Whipco and letters of the month was the full coverage. I'm not doing that. Oh, look. My list of projects that I wanted to start this year. How many did I not start? Anyways. That's it.
Those are the ones you started?
Yeah, the ones that are crossed out are the only ones I started. So
I'm curious about that one, by the way.
I don't have
when we get a chance.
I don't have it down here. I'll show you. So I'm going to do categories. I think I'm going to do, let's see, there's 25 spaces. 24 if you take away the free space. I think I'm going to do 12. I'm going to see if I can come up with 12 categories. I might only do 6 categories. And then have them down multiple times. So, yes, dear.
I had an idea for one that's evil incarnate.
What?
Hubby picks. And it was fun.
Yes, it was. That's why it's going on the WIPGO for next year.
Because my bub is literally going to get like 10 of her projects out and roll a dice.
Well, there you go.
D.
Yes. So I need to do some planning for next year. I need to do some planning for next year. I do need to do some organizing for next year. And I need to do it soon because the new year is barreling at me like a freight train.
Choo choo!
So, I know Santa's
coming, Santa's coming.
I do know that I am doing the daily 30 yearly, so I need to figure out how I'm picking my projects that will be submitted for that. I really, really, really like the idea of going through my WIPs, figuring out what is closest to being a finish, and putting those as like the focus for next year to get some stuff done. It still gives me the flexibility to start what I want when I want, without like planning it as part of a group and everybody saying, oh, I'm gonna start all this stuff with you, and then by like fucking May everybody fails on me and says I'm not starting anything. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I didn't help either, sorry. Would you like to know what my plans are for next year?
What are your plans for next year?
I'm afraid to make any because anytime I stress about a plan, I bug right away and join the circus.
Which, some people, there are people who just can't plan their stitching. I fall somewhere in between planning it down to the minute and can't plan it all. I like having a plan because it gives me the ability to focus. And I don't end up with WIPs sitting around for eternity, never getting touched because I've forgotten about them.
And another thought I had was for the for your focus projects, if you stitch how you've been stitching, where it's like as many prompts as you can per stitch, I think you'll actually get a lot more finishes done because part of the thing you were doing is you were spreading your stitches across 24 flipping patterns at once.
To be fair, I think going into next year, my daily 30 plan is going to be yearly, monthly, like focus on the yearly, focus on the monthly, and then just grab weeklies as I have time in the week. I did, what was it, 2021, I did the zombie run. So I focused on weeklies and the zombie run. This year I focused on weeklies and monthlies. Yes, I'm cheating because I know already what Daily 30 has planned for next year. I kind of have a rough idea of the plan for next year. I do know that, like I said, I do know that I want to do the yearly really bad. And I think what?
I was kind of looking forward to doing the weeklies with you.
You said you really wanted to focus on the daily 30.
I know, but I was hoping to get myself up to the point where I can start doing some prompts too.
Well, I will still we'll talk about this later.
Okay, moving on. What's next?
Moving on. What's next? That's it. We're done.
Okay, spiel time.
Spiel time. It's 9 o'clock.
Please, when you're looking at the camera, please like, comment, subscribe, bell notification, thingy bobby, the whole YouTube spiel. And comment below, are you a planter or flyby seat of your panther, or are you somewhere in the
Fly by the
middle?
seat of your panther. I love it. I love it. Yes. Tell us how you do it.
One thing I've always found really funny is when it comes to plans and organization, we are literally opposites. Chaos, order. Chaos, order.
As I look around my house, there's complete and utter chaos. No. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with us. If you've made it to this point, you're going to already know that this video is probably not getting out on time on Tuesday. It will be out on Tuesday, but didn't make it out on time because it's already 9 o'clock and I'm tired. So, thank you for spending some time with us, and we will see you guys next week.